They say kindness costs nothing, but sometimes, it returns more than one could ever imagine. It all began on a frosty Tuesday morning in Manhattan, when 24-year-old Emily Carter rushed into Hamilton Towers, clutching a half-eaten bagel in one hand and a sketchbook in the other. Her job as an intern at a prestigious design firm wasn't glamorous. It mostly involved running errands and making coffee, but she carried herself like she was designing skyscrapers already. "Good morning, Mr. Harold," she called, smiling as she passed the janitor polishing the marble floors in the lobby. The old man looked up from his work, eyes tired but gentle. He tipped his faded cap and offered a warm, toothy smile. "Mornin', sunshine." No one else really spoke to Mr. Harold. Most employees rushed past him like he was part of the furniture. Just another janitor in worn clothes and calloused hands. But Emily saw something in him. Maybe it was the wisdom behind his silence, or the way he hummed old jazz songs while he worked. She greeted him every single day without fail. Some days she offered coffee, other times just a cheerful hello, but it was always with sincerity. It wasn't a performance. She didn't do it for recognition. It was just who she was. And Mr. Harold noticed. Emily wasn't born into comfort. Raised by a single mother who worked double shifts as a waitress, she knew what it meant to stretch every dollar. She was the first in her family to go to college, and even then, she worked part-time as a barista to afford rent. Life wasn't easy, but she had dreams, big ones. She wanted to become a renowned architect, designing spaces that gave people hope, beauty, belonging. But her path was riddled with challenges. At the office, Emily was often overlooked. Her ideas were ignored in meetings. Her manager, Valerie, barely remembered her name. Her clothes weren't designer, and her shoes had seen better days. Sometimes, she'd sit alone in the break room while others chatted in cliques. But each day, as she walked in and out of the building, Mr. Harold was there. He always had a kind word for her, even when her eyes were red from crying after a tough day. Somehow, he knew. "You all right, Miss Emily?" he asked once, catching her wiping tears on her coat sleeve near the elevator. She forced a smile. "Yeah. Just a rough day." He nodded thoughtfully, then reached into his pocket and handed her a peppermint. Sometimes, something sweet helps. That, and holding on. It was such a simple gesture, but in that moment, it meant the world. Time passed. Seasons changed. Emily's internship ended. She wasn't hired, budget cuts, they said, but she left with grace. "Thank you, Mr. Harold," she said on her last day. "For always being kind to me." He smiled, leaning on his mop. "You're the light in this place, Emily. Don't let anyone dim it." She hugged him, a simple, heartfelt hug, and walked away, never knowing it would be the last time she saw him. 6 months later, Emily was working 3 part-time jobs, struggling to find her footing. Her dream of becoming an architect felt further away than ever. She had applied to over 50 firms, no callbacks. Rejection emails had become a morning routine. Then, one rainy afternoon, a letter arrived. It was addressed to her in neat cursive on thick, cream-colored paper. The envelope smelled faintly of old books and lemon polish. Inside was a note and a legal document. The note read, "Dear Miss Emily, if you're reading this, I am no longer among the living. But I wanted to say thank you, for seeing me. For treating me like a human being when others looked through me. What many didn't know is that I wasn't just a janitor. I was once an engineer and co-founder of a construction firm. But after my wife passed, I gave it all up. I wanted to be invisible. And I was, except to you. Please accept this small token of gratitude. May it help you reach the heights you dream of. Sincerely, Harold J. Whitaker." Attached was a will. And the words made Emily drop to her knees. Mr. Harold had left her $3.2 million. The news made headlines: Janitor leaves fortune to kind intern, but Emily didn't care about the cameras or the shock of the world. She cried for hours, not because of the money, but because of the man she had grown to respect. A man who had hidden his pain behind quiet eyes and jazz tunes. A man no one had truly seen, except her. And he had seen her too. With the inheritance, Emily started her own architectural firm, Whitaker and Carter Design, dedicated to building community shelters, schools, and spaces for the forgotten. Her first project? Renovating the community center Mr. Harold used to volunteer at on weekends. She framed his note and hung it on the office wall above her desk. Visitors often asked her about it, and she always smiled before answering. "That note is a reminder," she'd say. "That kindness isn't just about grand gestures. Sometimes, it's a smile. A greeting. A peppermint on a bad day. And that can change a life." Years later, as her firm flourished and lives were being rebuilt through her designs, Emily gave a speech at a charity gala. Her voice trembled, but her message was clear. There are people all around us we don't see. People who clean our offices, serve our food, sweep our streets. Don't ignore them. Speak to them. Greet them. Because one day, you might find that they were angels in disguise. The crowd was silent. Many wiped their eyes. Emily looked up, as if Mr. Harold were watching. And maybe, just maybe, he was. Because kindness, like architecture, leaves a legacy. And sometimes, the smallest act can build the tallest tower in someone's heart.